We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tăng thịnh, phi thứ pháp hội cấp nhất thiết chúng sanh, xin chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạc lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sa Đàn Thổ Sư Chế Đô Ye La Hờ Đi San Miao San Pu Tô Xế. Nam mô Tát Tát Tha Tu Già Đà Già La Đế Tam Miệu Nam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa bai qian wan jie nan zao yu, wo jin jian wen de shou qu, yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, great Master Jing Yang, great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns and all good no advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、尽量大士、是父上人，各位出家人，各位上师师，弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Tánh Đường Đại sư và Thượng Thiên Hóa, quý thầy cô và các vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone, today is the 26th of May 2023. We are here in Duo Forest to continue discussing the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra. Thank you all for joining us. Which slide are we on right now? You're on 371. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's take it off where we last left. Text says, nonetheless, although in the Flower Dormant Sutra, they are flower dormant, there is, according with all living beings, each being separately tame and subdued. Those are all clever expedients, congruent with the nature at one time suddenly proclaimed. 372.
然华严虽有随诸众生个别调。然华严虽有随诸众生个别调伏，皆是称性善巧，一时顿言。
Okay, 372 commentary. Again, yeah, studying the Dharma has no beginning, has no end. So don't be alarmed with all these things that are going on and on and on and on. What we're doing is you are planting Vajra seeds of great wisdom in all of you. Okay? So it's not about understanding right now. It's about allowing the Dharma to enter your consciousness. And then as we listen to this, we learn from this. Feel free to ask questions, whatever bothers you, because that's what we can help address right now. But this is long-term investments. In fact, these are incredible opportunities for us, all of us, myself included, to enrich ourselves with these Vajra seeds. Okay? So relax and let the sutra power. The sutra is very powerful. It has its own magic. Let it seep in and do its magic. Okay, don't try so much to understand. But if you're curious, curiosity is healthy. But trying to understand is not. Okay, it's simply beyond our understanding. Nonetheless, although the flower dormant, there's according with all living beings, each being separately tame and subdued. Okay, it's referring to the fact that when the Buddha spoke the Dharma, his sermons were spoken congruent with the nature, meaning that in the Flower Adornment Sutra, which was designed for bodhisattvas, was taught to the bodhisattvas. So because of such audiences, the Buddha can speak congruent with the nature, meaning that he does not beat around the bush. He can speak, and if you listen to your self-nature, and you don't need to necessarily have to be a bodhisattva, but if you're listening your self-nature, you would have no problems at all. Okay, it's only your ego that objects and complains and whines. But actually, even with bodhisattvas listening in the assembly, the Buddha spoke this Flower Adornment Sutra congruent with nature, meaning that with all the various types of bodhisattvas, various levels, high and low, even the higher level ones, they have different specialties. Okay. Just you get up there, you have your own, you specialize in certain things. And the Buddha have this diverse assembly of advanced listeners, advanced practitioners, and he still can speak congruent with nature, court with all sorts of bodhisattvas. Very much like us right now. Even though we're not bodhisattvas yet, but we are planting the seeds to become bodhisattvas. And so the Buddha, when he's the people, the beings in the audience, that includes us. When he spoke live, it was only the bodhisattvas. But it's being recorded, is making it available to us, okay? And all of us, we have this wild nature, these habit energies, that includes bodhisattva as well, that need to be tamed and subdued. Okay? And the Buddha, in all his genius, He's used a lot of expedience, congruent with nature, that's consistent with our nature. Okay? And that's how he proclaimed all these dharmas. Earlier in the afternoon, I talked about an anecdote between Master Wei Shan and Yang Shan, and I stressed the fact in our particular anecdote this afternoon that Yang Shan is being himself, having fun, and somewhat irreverent, naughty, and Master Wei Shan can still train him, can still absorb it, can still embrace it, and train him accordingly. All right? And that's the nature of the training. It requires great wisdom. And so much more is the case of the Buddhas. When the Buddhas, his original audience, the target audience was the various great bodhisattvas, he's able to address them all, to teach them all. 373, and although the nirvana and so forth speak a single absolute, they are either matching the provisional by revealing the actual or assembling differences to return them to sameness.
涅槃等虽说一即，或对全显实，或会异归同。
Okay, so this is a sort of like a survey from Master Jingliang. It shows him how erudite Master Jingliang was. He is a Tripitaka master. He knows all the sutras, okay, and Vinaya and the Shastras. So that's why he can discuss at great length the relationship or the types of teaching the Buddhas were bestowing in our Saha world. So he says, in the Nirvana that speaks about the Dharma of the ultimate Dharma of enlightenment and Buddhahood, meaning that all of us can become a Buddhas. Don't sell yourself short. Okay? And he says, in the Nirvana there, and the various sutras in that period, they speak of a single absolute. Absolute meaning that the actual Dharma itself, the actual Dharma is the total truth. The truth of the matter is that you are Buddhas. You are Buddhas to be. You are endowed with the full Buddha nature. And nothing can change it. Okay? And that's the single absolute. Okay? The truth of the Dharma, truth of your Buddha nature. And even though they speak of this absolute truth here, they either 对权显实. So he says he used temporary, provisional. It's the two types of teachings in Buddhism: provisional versus actual. Provisional meaning that it's a skill in means. It is a temporary thing to entice you, to encourage you to move along. Okay? And the actual is actually the full truth, the full picture. It's not half a big picture, but actually is the whole truth for you. So the provisional is simply a skill and means to help you connected, get connected, and inspired, okay, to enter the world of the Buddha Dharma. But actually, once you enter, and the provisional refers to the fact that even though it's temporary, it's also an expedient to teach you temporarily. But that's so important because once you reach the end of that provisional road, then actually you are then ready to receive higher types of teachings. Okay, so provisional actual means foundational. You need to have all that foundations. After you acquire the provisional foundation, you lay out the foundation. Actually, now the Buddha can go a lot more complete, can give you the more complete picture. It's like very much like children. If you need to let them be themselves and run around and have fun. Okay, be patient with them. But that's called provisional. So that when the time is right, when they're able to absorb it, now we can tell them the realities of life, the actual truth, okay, of human existence. Okay, same thing in cultivation. Cultivation, we teach you the provisional in order to not scare you away. Okay, because we tell you too much. Number one, you won't believe it. Number two, you find it too hard. Okay, so provisional means like don't look too far. Look at your immediate benefits here, what's real to you. That's provisional. And actual is that what you're looking at in term benefits is actually so small compared to this whole bowl of wax. And when you get to the top of the provisional, at the peak, at the highest level of provisional wisdom, then when you're told about the actual truth, you won't be terrified anymore. You won't be scared anymore. Does it make sense? That is so beautiful when you think about it, the way the Buddha taught us. And that's typical of training. You don't want to scare people away. You want to go slow, okay? Give them enough for them to absorb. A sponge can absorb so much, like children can absorb so much, okay? And then give them time, give them space, okay? And that's how the Buddha trained us. That's how Buddhism was bestowed upon us by the Buddha. Okay, so there is a concept of provisional teaching versus actual. So what happened is that once you acquire and you master the provisional, okay, meaning that you can understand the whole provisional teaching, meaning you reach a level of the peak of the provisional meaning of fourth stage arhat, or an arhat, if you will. We don't care when we call arhat, that means fourth stage arhat. And below that, we have third stage, second stage, first stage, and so forth. So lower levels of arhat, we spell out the stage. But when you say arhat, by convention, it means fourth stage arhat. When you reach a level of fourth stage arhat, then it's a top. That's the highest level of provisional teaching we can give you. Okay, then you're ready to move on to the next level of actual teaching. Is that clear? So this is a problem with the untrained Buddhist researchers. They read the books and they collect all these words, all these sutras, all these texts, all these scrolls, all these words, all these dictionaries, but they don't really understand what the words mean. And that's a problem with scholars. They really don't understand. They may have the dictionaries, they may know where to look for things, but their understanding is very superficial. Okay? Provisional, at the top of the provisional, you have depth. You're able to understand beyond the meaning of those words. Actually, what is understanding and meaning of those words? You actually are experiencing those provisional teachings yourself, not just talking about it. You actually experience something called emptiness. You experience something called no ego. Meaning what? Someone insults you, you won't be offended. Okay? You win a super lotto, you give it to me right away. That's a real proof right there. Okay? And I'd be so happy. Okay? All right? Just a reminder, you don't have to be super lotto. A red car would suffice. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. So what happened in the provisional is that you, the provisional level wisdom means that you really, really have no ego whatsoever. Okay? And that is when the actual can be exposed to you. So that's why it's 对准显示. He says, when you faced with these provisional, okay, the provisional level wisdom, you can reveal the truth, the actual teaching. This refers to the fourth-stage arhats. Only those people can we begin to unveil to you the actual, the big picture. We unveil to you more and more and more. Below that, below the fourth-stage arhats levels, you have a hard time accepting it. Any problem with it? That's why I say 对准显示. He says, these teachers, they recognize your level and say, you're ready now to accept or absorb the actual teaching. Okay? 会意味同 and or you take all these different concepts, okay, and return them to the source. 味同, you go back to the same source, the same origin. Okay, so I was referring to earlier in the Chan lecture is the Li and Shi, the Hui Yi. Yi here is different separates, meaning that the various different aspects of it actually came from this one principle. Okay, so that's why. The people who have true wisdom, they're able to absorb and embrace all the disparities, all the differences. Whether you are Korean, whether you are Chinese, whether you are Vietnamese, you are white or yellow or black, all the differences, the people of wisdom are able to embrace it. Okay? Whereas some of you still think, no, I'm really Taiwanese. We're better. Or the Korean says that, if you're not Korean, then we won't accept you. No. All right? And so, or the white people say, you yellow people are inferior. You don't have any culture. Okay? And so forth. Because you see the differences, you have the discrimination, because you don't have true wisdom that you can still discriminate. Whereas you have real wisdom, you don't discriminate anymore. Does it make sense? Wei Tong is that we're all the same. We all belong to the same thing, the oneness. Okay? The Dharma nature, the Buddha nature, Dharma realm. You're not different. All right. So that's what it means. A same difference is return to sameness, and so it's the same thing. The Buddha, when he spoke the various times in his career, when he preached the sutras and so forth, they're all the various sutras to address the various listeners, the various audiences. Well, actually, it goes back to the same thing. You all have the Buddha nature. All right? 376. All thus come once, either speak or do not speak them, so they are therefore called circuitous.
一切如来或说不说，故云区区。
Okay, now 377 commentary. Okay, you see, this is the first. This should be eye-opening for you. You only see, Los Angeles, United States. Okay, but actually, you look at a macro level. This is just one Buddha land, where the Buddha came to speak the Dharma to us, to help to save us, and train a lot of bodhisattvas and arhats. Okay? He produced a lot of bodhisattvas and arhats in our Sao world by preaching for 50 years. So far, so good. He came to our world to teach what? Start by teaching the Four Noble Truths. Ask Hinayana, they explain to you in great details what the Four Noble Truths are. Okay? But do you realize that, I said that last weekend, you realize when you go to the Pure Land, which is another Buddha world, Buddha land, so far away from us to the west, 10 billion galaxies away, you think the Buddha preaches the Four Noble Truths? No. Okay? The Buddha preaches different principles because each world has its own specifics. In our world, is a world of suffering. That's why you're weak, because you suffer so much that you decided to run away from suffering. That's why I call weak people. Any problems with that? Because if you're strong, you say, suffering, I can endure it. Okay? That's what Shakmanu Buddha tried to tell us. Okay? You can endure it. Stop whining. Stop complaining. Okay? And that's the nature in our world. No matter how much suffering, we still can endure it. Only the weak would run away and figure out a way to avoid suffering. Any problem with that? Okay, another laugh again. That laugh is not healthy. Okay? So that's why, depending on which galaxy, which Buddha land, each Buddha land, given its own specific circumstances, own types of living beings present there, okay, the Buddha will speak different types of dharmas. That's all there is to it. Okay? And that's why they all start with the same thing. They all start with provisional and end up with actual. Okay? It's very much like children versus adults. Children, we need to go slow with them. today for a kid. Okay, instead of eating rice like the rest of us, he ate ice cream and fruits. Try to reason with him. He said, I don't care. I want ice cream. That's all he cares about. Okay, so that's why it's called circuitous, because the Buddha cannot speak straight to you. So he goes around and round, just like when you talk to confused people. Don't want to scare them away. Okay? Yeah. 378. But in terms of Shakyamuni Buddha as a host, then the 10 bodies have not yet been made to appear. While if the 10 bodies are the host, they certainly include Shakyamuni Buddha.
曰释迦为主，则未显实身；实身为主，必具释迦。
379 commentary. It said, for example, when we talk about this Shakyamuni Buddha, our Buddha, host teacher, he says that in regular sutras, when he talked about the other sutras, you only see Shakyamuni Buddha speaking. But actually, when in other advanced sutras, when you speak to the for example, bodhisattvas and so forth, the Buddha actually uses all the types of bodies to speak them. Okay, and therefore they become visible, they become manifest for the audience. What are the 10 bodies? The 10 bodies are Bodhi body, number one, Bodhi body, meaning that what is Bodhi body? Bodhi means enlightened. Hi Nacho, there you go. I thought you back to Spain, no?
I'm going back in 2 weeks.
You keep on talking about it. Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah. And so this Putishan is a Bodhi body. Okay, that means that it's a body that he uses to become enlightened. So what is body? He says this body here that he uses to manifest the 8 marks of accomplishing the way. Okay, meaning that what are the 8 marks? The 8 marks are he stayed in the Tushita heaven and descends from heaven to stay in his mother's womb. Okay, and then he gets out of the womb, and then okay. So the various phases of his accomplishing Buddhahood. All Buddhas, by the way, go through these 8 ways of accomplishing Buddhahood. Okay, this is like a movie of becoming a Buddha. So that's why it's called a Bodhi body. So he uses particular body. What for? To show us that as a human being, we too can become a Buddha. Because he does. Okay? And there's a way to become a Buddha with this body of ours. Okay? And that's teaching by example. He says, if I can do it, so can you. I'm just like you. I was born from my mother's womb. I got married. I would have a good time. And then I became a shramana, a left-home person. I cultivated the way. So if you cultivate the way I teach you, you too can become enlightened, just like me. Okay? If I can do it, so can any of you. It's a very powerful way of teaching by example. Okay, so Putishan, he said. Okay, number 2, vow body. Okay, vow body refers to the body that all Buddhas use. Okay, to be born in a Tushita heaven while waiting to become a Buddha. All Buddhas do that. They vow to be born up there in the fourth desire heaven, the Tushita heaven. He waits there. He patiently waits there until it's time for him to come down, descend from the heaven to become a Buddha. So, for example, right now, Maitreya Bodhisattva is a vow body. He's sitting up there right now, okay, waiting for the time to be ripe for him to go down to our world, okay? In that time, where our lifespan would be about around 80,000, 84,000 great kalpas. We live that long. Right now, we live, see here in the US, if you female, 73. If you man, 71. Okay? That's all you got to do. Better hurry up, guys. Okay? But Maitreya Bodhisattva, when he became a Buddha, when he came down here, our lifespan, right now, our lifespan is decreasing. Okay? And then eventually our world will come to an end. And then next cycle, the world is born, and then now the lifespan starts increasing up to 84,000 kalpas, around that time range. Okay? That's when Maitreya Bodhisattva comes around. Okay? And what he'll do is he'll teach us for one day and one night. And then he moves to the Bahamas. Drive around in a non-EV vehicle, I think. Okay? And so that's the vow body. He says, I will go to Shita heaven and I will patiently wait for the time, the right time to come down, okay? In order to save living beings and become a Buddha. Number 3, a transformation body refers to when Buddhas are born into the heavenly palaces. You know, when you're born in the heavens, you're all born by transformation. What is transformation? Poof! That's transformation. That's how fast it is. Like magic. Poof! Okay? So that's how the heavenly gods, heavenly beings are born into the heavens by transformation. All of a sudden you see a baby appear in your laps. No inappropriate things. Just poop, you're born. All right? So it's called transformation body. What else do Buddhas use in order to teach living beings? Residing and maintaining body. 住持生. What does it mean? Those of you who do not speak Chinese, who speak Chinese, do not compete with me. So what is this residing and maintaining body? It's kind of cool. You guys have so many things, you take so many things for granted. You don't realize what you have here is called a residing and maintaining body, a sustaining body. It is relics. What do you mean, It's not 神韵, but it's relics. You know, relics are the residing and maintaining bodies of the Buddhas. Yes, Chinese-speaking person.
Hello. I just want to comment that it's interesting that 住持 in Chinese also means abbot.
But it has nothing to do with abbots.
I think it also, at least this explanation makes me feel the abbot is maintaining the Dharma. That's why
not nowadays. Abbots nowadays is just fat cats who's waiting for your donations and do fundraising constantly. So the abbots do, okay? At least the abbots I met. No, Chu Shen here refers to relics. I didn't realize it, to be honest with you. I always have sort of, praise the Lord, forgive me, Buddha. I always look at relics as like superstitious thing, Hinayana thing, where actually relic turns out to be residing and maintaining the body. What does it mean? The Buddha's manifest relics. Poof! Again, relics appear, poof, okay, by transformation. If people ask, prove to me relics are real, okay, there's no such a thing. Poof, relics appear, okay? And the presence of relics are in order to, 出持佛法, is to support and maintain the Dharma. So wherever there are relics, okay, then it's where the Buddha Dharma is dwelling and being maintained. Isn't that cool? So that's why traditionally in Asia, if you have a tooth relic or those Buddhist relics, usually people would build a temple because that's where the Dharma is being maintained. That's why the concept, the abbot is chu thing. That's where it came from. Okay? Then understand now? The chu is actually because the temple was built in order to maintain and support the Buddha Dharma. And the person in charge is in charge of that. But the meaning has changed nowadays. Yes, you too.
A question from Diego. Emitofuo, Master, I once heard in a lecture that one day in the heavens is like 500 years in the human realm. Is there a similar time as the heavens in the Western Pure Land? Emitofuo.
No, it depends on which heavens. The first heaven in desire realm is the four heavenly heavens. One day there is equivalent to 500 years down here in human realm. Okay. Next level heavens is the Christian God heavens. Then one day up there is equivalent to 1,000 days here in the human realm. So depending on which heaven you're born onto, your lifespan is increased accordingly. All right? And so in the Pure Land, for example, in Amitabha's Pure Land, basically your lifespan is limitless. You can't count. You don't bother counting because by the time you finish counting, you probably are a Buddha already. You probably are a Buddha before you finish counting, if you will. So it's kind of cool. That's why we advocate you should go to the Pure Land. Okay? Number 5, adorn with marks body. Okay? This refers to kind of marketing. The Buddha is extremely adorned to the point where when you look at the Buddha adorned body, you say, wow, this is nice. I like to have it. You know what I mean? Like, I know you girls, for example, you ladies, look at Birkin bags. Anyone has a Birkin bag? Don't make a face. It's $10,000, not for you. The cheapest one is $10,000. Okay, it's the ones that are like with crocodile skin. It's $100,000 there. Why? When you're shaking your head, I mean, you see, my wife would never find out these things. Okay? So they're so adorned that it's rather, to me, it's rather interesting way of teaching people by showing them something so splendid, so adorned that you say, wow, I want this. Naturally, we all have the same reaction. I want it. And that's the nature of his blessings. He has so many blessings that we're not talking Birkin bags. Okay? We're talking way beyond Birkin bags. Okay? So you have a choice. You lady can go and tell your husband to work harder, and you take, you put in more hours, get promotion, and eventually you're going to afford Birkin bag. Or you can cultivate. And Birkin bag is what's a big deal? Okay? So it depends. Okay, so adore remarks body that the Buddha, it's like, the working back is nothing. What intrigues me recently is, you know what? Mr. Amazon, what's his name again? Bezos. His fiancée, whatever her name is, you know her ring, her engagement ring? How much it costs? Go back to Vietnam. Anyone tell me how much is Sanchez, Miss Sanchez engagement ring? Xin, give me a number. You don't know? See, I want to prove to you, my Sanghas are really idiots. They don't know anything. How about the rest of you, worldly people? How much is her engagement ring? Don't look it up. See, they're cheating. What? How much? Come on. 50 million? Try $500 million. Look at all of you. You are poor paupers. You're so poor. I heard listeners, I say, only? Is that all? Can you imagine putting $500 million on your finger? It's insane. To me, it's like, wow, I can buy a lot of temples with that. Is that talking about adornments? You see that? To us, it's a big deal, right? To the Buddha, you only have one ring, one diamond? Look at all the gems I have, huh? This is beyond Vietnam, okay? 6, the body, great strength body. Okay, I forgot the body here. Great strength body, okay? Shi Li, okay? What is great strength? Okay, Chinese people, don't mess me up, okay? Either, okay? What is great strength? To me, it's so interesting, this concept. What is great strength? Biceps? Or quads? Huh? No. Great strength is, where is it? Using, what do you use to subdue and tame everything, all living beings? How do you subdue and tame all living beings? 2 things, kindness and compassion. Isn't that cool? To me, it's like Arnold is so weak, because he lacks kindness and compassion. But that's how we harness and develop great strength, by building our kindness and compassion. Because that's the only thing that can vanquish all living beings. To me, it's kind of interesting. No? It's not missiles, it's not airplanes, attack helicopters, okay? But it's kindness and compassion. 7, as real body, refers to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. They can manifest in any types of body. Could manifest as Espanol, to convert Nacho. Okay, yeah. As a girl, to talk Dharma to Daniel. Daniel only listens to girls. Okay, so the Buddhas, in whatever body is appropriate to speak Dharma to living beings, to help them, he will manifest such a body. Incredible, isn't it? Inconceivable. And here, today, I feel achy and my tooth is aching. I'm in a very cranky mood today. Okay? Body, the body is, oh my God, this body is so heavy duty. But he manifests any type of body that he wants. So cool. Blessings virtue body is number 8. Okay. Interesting here. The Chinese. You see, the Chinese, they have things that we need to convert into English, because otherwise the Chinese will forget it too themselves. Okay, so blessings in virtue body refers to this body here is born from blessings and virtue. Okay, and what is it? Body that has maximum blessings and virtue is a body that is in samadhi. In other words, when you practice chant, okay, and you sit there in our temple, and lo and behold, suddenly you enter samadhi, you're generating countless, incredible blessings and virtue. So that's why it's cool thing is a practicing chant. You enter samadhi. That's why you practice chant. The purpose is to enter samadhi. And as you enter higher and higher level of samadhis, your blessings and virtues generated are more and more and more. Does it make sense? Quite a worthwhile thing to do is enter samadhi. So that's why every day when you practice, okay, whether you recite during ceremony or you do repentances, all those, you still can enter samadhi, by the way. Everything we do, we design to help you enter samadhi. Not simply just sitting there and meditate, okay? That's wrong. That's a wrong concept. The Hinayana perpetuated, and the modern day monks and nuns don't understand anymore. Actually, samadhi can be entered, can be primed with all the activities we do in the temple. Everything is designed to help you enter samadhi. And why so? Because for some of you, maybe it's easier for you to enter samadhi by standing, okay? Because you are afraid of leg pains. And when you enter samadhis, then you have enough blessings, which makes it easier for you to cross your legs, because crossing your legs is the fastest way to enter samadhi. Does it make sense? Because that's why it's all well-rounded. You don't necessarily need to do it the brute force way. You can build. Like, for example, I don't mean to criticize her, but Xin, for example, she hated Chan. Right? She started with a half lotus. She said, I don't do full lotus. You hear? And now she sits in full lotus and teaches the Chinese for 2 hours. Go figure. You see? So that's why I'm telling you. It's well-rounded. It's all these things are designed. Everything we do is designed to help you enter samadhi. Everything. Case in point, as you sit there and listen, the Dharma itself is so powerful, it can help you enter samadhi. But don't stay there too long, okay? I have to listen to me a little bit. Okay? All right. And so, it's interesting to me is to remind you today that the supreme form of generating blessings and virtue is samadhi. Isn't that cool? No one told you that? You're becoming rich. Okay, you enter samadhi, you have so many blessings. And that's why your husband, goes to work and earns money while you're here. Number 9, wisdom body. Wisdom body here refers to your various types of wisdoms. Okay, the wisdoms of enlightened people. It manifests itself. This is a kind of wisdom. Why is it useful? Let me tell you. Once you have these wisdoms, you can do anything you want. You can invest in stocks like Mr. Buffet. You could easily be the richest man in the world, but he didn't care. I have enough. Okay? For him to make money is so easy. No challenge. Okay? That's wisdom. Wisdom is to excel in everything you do. Wisdom is very practical. Number 10, Dharma body. That is the real body, the Buddha, which is Dharma body, think, entire universe. And how big his body is. Questions? So this is what Buddhas do. He uses various bodies to do his work. Very much like you in the kitchen use different utensils, paring knives, chef's knives, cleavers, serrated knives for bread, and so forth. Yes? Same thing. Buddhas also look at it with this kind of precision. He says, my work is so complicated, so I have these 10 types of bodies for me to accomplish my work. Okay, 381. Now text. The location in Saha has not yet fused with the flower treasury, whereas the location in flower treasury certain fuses with the Saha.
娑婆之处未容华藏，华藏之处必容娑婆。
So depending on commentary in 382, so depending on the type of sutras, the type of audience the Buddha was preaching to. In some cases, at low level people, then he manifests himself in a Saha world, okay, in one of his bodies. Whereas in the advanced audiences like Bodhisattvas, then he needs to go a little bit higher level where he actually manifests the flower treasury, this universe. So that, because remember, the Bodhisattvas who were in the audience came from various parts of the universe. Okay? So depending, here it says here, depending on what sutras he lectured on, he showed manifest different types of locations. In Saha world, one galaxy versus a world system called flower treasury. 383, and we learn more of flower treasury in one of those chapters. In general, there are said to be 4 differences. Actually, the differences are many, exactly as determined.
略云四义，一时有多，诚如所盼。
Okay, so this is kind of cool, 384. Master Jingyang says, actually, I look at it and I say, there are 4 differences. I don't know. He knows so much. Okay, and I'm glad that someone knows so much, and that the Chinese know so much, because for you to become enlightened, to know this kind of thing, the kind of knowledge here, it shows it's incredible reach these bodhisattvas have. Anyway, it's not my cup of tea. I'm not really interested in this kind of excessive scholarly things. 385. It is only that inside the circuitous, the provisional and actual aspects of Dharma are simply not yet revealed.
但于曲曲之内，为显法之全实耳。
386. So, circuitous teaching versus level road teaching, the two types of teaching there. That was discussed earlier in this context. Circuitous meaning that you go round, you don't speak directly, okay? Because speaking directly is too offensive, too scary for people, so you go round and round, you go sideways, okay? Very much like Asian communication, you go oblique, you don't speak directly. Am I correct? Yeah, because Asians get offended when you're too direct with them. No? Okay. So that's why the Buddha says, circuitous. I know that you prefer, you cannot, you don't want to me to be too straightforward to you, to be too direct to you. So I need to go a little bit sideways. Okay? Circuitous, round and round. Okay? So that's why when you go round here, there's no need to talk about the provisional. The provisional, that round there, you don't want to reveal the actual Dharma. Okay? 387. 4. The hermit scholar of the Qi dynasty, Liu Qiu, who also established 2 teachings, gradual and sudden. That is, the Flower and Dormant Sutra is called the sudden teaching.
4. 齐朝隐士，你们念这个字念什么？留什么？不查了。琉球亦立剑顿2教，为华严经名为顿教。That was part of the sutra.
Qiu, I thought I looked up the pinyin.
I think that the Chinese part was not part of the sutra text. Somebody put it in there.
Oh.
Somebody added it, I think. It's okay.
Yeah, so 4. there is a hermit scholar in the Qi dynasty, Liu Qiu, who also advocated two teachings, gradual and sudden, that says in Buddha Dharma, you can separate them two types only, gradual versus sudden teaching, okay? And as far as he's concerned, the Flower Adornment Sutra is a sudden teaching. And hermit scholar, meaning that he does not like people. He just practices by himself. He says, stay away from me. Okay? Yeah. 389. While all the rest are called the gradual because beginning in Deer Park and ending in the twin trees, they go from small to great.
余皆明见，始自路缘，终于双树，从小知大故。
So historically, he says, when the Buddha became a Buddha, the first 21 days, he taught the sudden teaching. As far as this guy is concerned, Liu Qiu is concerned. He says, only Flower Adornment Sutra is considered sudden. The rest is gradual because it builds up. It builds up, and I think he's full of it. He doesn't understand. He doesn't quite understand sudden versus gradual. Okay. But anyway, so for him, he says the rest is gradual because in a Deer Park, when he first lectured to the humans, under the 5 bhikshus there, okay, his previous 5 attendants who could not take the suffering, so they ran away and they said, no, Buddha is on the wrong path and this is too hard and he's on the wrong path, so they all gathered in a Deer Park to practice on their own. And he went there after he became a Buddha and preached Dharma to them, and Ashnata Kondinya was the first one to become enlightened. Just think about it. All these people, they worked so hard, okay? They made tremendous sacrifices, and yet they're not able to reach first dhyana, first arhat yet. And I'm amazed, and when I look at people nowadays, I see sound hearers everywhere. It's no longer a big deal. It's sad. Because you become so commonplace. It's sad, isn't it? I remember when I became fully ordained and went around, I saw someone say, oh, this is the second stage arhat. I was so impressed. I would bow to the statue and say, wow, please help me become second stage arhat. Now lay people like you are first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage. It's just dime a dozen. Okay. And here, this guy is these 5 bhikshus who really practice so hard. They try so hard. They sacrifice, devoted their lives to do this, and they still have no wisdom whatsoever. And the Buddha came and spoke Dharma to them, and Ashnata Kondinya, poof, became first stage arhat. And you call that gradual? This guy is crazy. Liu Qiu is crazy. He's disrespectful. That's sudden teaching right there. Those bhikshus, the first 5 bhikshus, they work so hard. That's gradual teaching, gradual training. And the Buddha came along and spoke a little bit, boom, became enlightened, became first stage arhat. That is called sudden enlightenment, folks. That's the nature of the sudden teaching. So this guy, it's okay. These scholars, they don't know what they're talking about. But according to him, he said, according to my research, according to my so-called survey of the Buddhist teaching, This is all gradual because you go from small to great. Baloney. Anyway, he's Chinese, so it's okay. 391. Yet this sutra, like the newly arisen sun, first illuminates lofty mountains, which is just the meaning of sun. The kindly dragon letting fall rain testifies to the meaning of gradual.
然此经如日初出，先照高山，即是顿意。慈龙降雨，以正见意。
Okay, 392. So this is why I become disenchanted with the scholars, Buddhist scholars in particular. These people actually were in the old times. They spent a lot of time theorizing and formulating all these approaches, which means they don't understand diddly squat. That's why they sit there and think and think and think and systematize instead of going to work. What is work? Teaching living beings. Not only talk. Okay, 392 commentary. Yet this sutra, this Avatamsaka Sutra, is like the newly arisen sun. First illuminates lofty mountains. Okay, and that's the meaning of sudden. So, for example, he says, it's like the sun in the early mornings. All of a sudden came from nowhere and illuminates the high peaks of the mountain. And that's called sudden. And I don't know about you. I get up in the morning. I have that chance. I get up in the morning quite often, earlier than you. And I see light coming slowly and slowly. I don't see it sudden at all. I see gradual sunrise. You know, it's so beautiful. You see how the light, the sky becomes brighter and brighter, and you begin to see clearer and clearer and clearer. Okay? And then the sun comes out. I call it gradual, not sudden. But anyway, so it depends on your perspective. Anyway, that's what happened when you're a scholar. Yeah. So the kindly dragon letting fall rain testify the meaning of gradual. Okay. So okay, continuing 393. With respect to principle, this can be maintained. The gradual is in terms of the 5 periods, as will be ascertained in order in what follows.
于理可然，见约50，次下当变。
Okay. With respect to principle, this can be maintained. The gradual is in the terms of 5 periods. Okay, so the Buddha, according to this scholar Liu Qiu here, he says this: the Buddha teaches. You see that he teaches the principles increasing complexity. Okay, from in the 5 periods. First is the Agama period, which is for intellectually oriented people like you. Okay, you're impressed by this. Okay, next the Vaipulya period, where it says, well, it's got to be something better than this. And then you go to the Prajna period, okay, and so forth. So you see all these periods, I'm talking a human realm, okay. And then first, there's Agama, the Vaipulya, the Prajna, and the Dharma flower and Nirvana periods in human realm. But the first realm, the first period is for the Bodhisattvas, the Flower Adornment Sutra. 395. The third, establishing 3 kinds of teachings, which also has 3 representatives.
第三，立三种教，亦有三家。
So you see, no wonder nowadays the scholars are spend so much time researching Buddhism and so forth. But you see, it's because in the past there were monks, elders, virtuous ones who devoted their lives in systemizing, creating systems of analyzing Buddha's teaching. Okay? So third, the third door or the five doors in the context of the ancient and the present disagreements and occurrences in China. So, which is now the third door here is now establishing three kinds of teachings, who has three representatives, three groups of Dharma masters who advocate such a division, such a distinction. 397, one, all the Dharma masters of Nanzhong, who identically established three teachings, that is, to the previous gradual sudden, they added the unfixed teachings.
一，南中诸法师同立三教，位于前见顿家不定教。
Okay, 398. So he says that all the group of Dharma masters of Nanzhong who established the three teachings together, they advocated that, similarly advocated that. And what are the three teachings? They distinguish gradual versus sudden, and they also add unfixed teachings. This is good to hear about these concepts a little bit, because if you're Buddhist disciples, they're always smart Alex who come around and say, well, they're more than just sudden and gradual. They're also unfixed teachings. Now you know. Okay? Yeah, it hurts. 399, because within the gradual there was first a small and afterwards a great. Yet the Angulimala Sutra was spoken inside of the 6 years. In order to forestall this difficulty, there was therefore set up the unfixed.
由见中先小后大，而央觉经6年之内即说，为遮此难，故立不定。
Okay. So basically he says that, yes, Buddha's chronological order is to go from small teachings of small vehicle, Hinayana teaching, to the great vehicle teaching, Mahayana teaching. However, historically, from a definition of small versus big vehicle, there's some period where it doesn't really fall into small nor great. For example, the Angulimala Sutra was spoken, and that teaching should be classified as unfixed. 401. That is, that there are separate individual sutras which, although not included in the sudden, still explain that the Buddha nature permanently dwells.
为别有一经，虽非顿摄，而名佛性常住。
402. So it says, based on the definition of the sudden teaching, and these scholars advocated, there's other individual sutras who cannot be classified as sudden teaching based on those certain criteria, certain teaching criteria. But it still explains that the Buddha nature permanently dwell. What does Buddha nature permanently dwell? It means that your Buddha nature is inside of you. When whether you're in pain or not. He says, I don't believe you. See? You believe, there's no pain immediately. Okay? So he says, he's so giving an example of the sutra says where they explain these things. 403, we're almost there. A few more minutes, we're over. Such as the Srimala, the golden light, and so forth. They are one-sided, unfixed teachings.
即圣满、金光明等，是为偏方不定教也。
Yeah. Okay. 404. Wow. Yeah. You could say that some people do get emotional when they listen to the sutras. And there are sutras by the name of Srimala, the Golden Lights, and so forth. And they're classified as unfixed teachings. So he says there's sutras there, I tell you, they're called unfixed teachings, whatever it means. Okay, it's not gradual, it's not sudden. That's all. That's all. That's all you have to remember. Okay, and actually, there's something golden light. I didn't realize it's called unfixed teachings. It seems like such a low-level sutra. I would never touch it. Okay, but it's unfixed teachings. If it's an unfixed teaching, why bother teaching? I don't get it. My interest to me is for you to end your suffering and become enlightened. Whether you call it whatever you call it, that's the main objective. But if you have something called unfixed, does it mean you won't become enlightened at all? Then I won't touch it. Almost there. Within the gradual, there is opening and uniting on the part of all masters, not the same. Perhaps they only made a division into two, those being the half and whole.
见中开合，诸师不同，或但分为二，即是半满。
Okay, 406. In the gradual teaching, there's opening and uniting. Okay, meaning that gradual may open up and reveal themselves as actually merging into sudden or unfixed. And not all masters have the same types of conclusion. Okay. Okay. So perhaps because they don't necessarily arrive at the same conclusion, because they actually, according to Master Qingliang, he says actually, then these people, I repeat, then these people, and these people only are interested in half and whole. Why do you do that? Because you see pain is real. Let me tell you. Okay, never mind. It's so real, yeah. I'm glad I only come up here every other week. Okay, almost there. Okay, so they actually prefer to go half and whole meaning half is a small vehicle, whole word is a great vehicle. So these are kind of nice terminology, jargons that we should be aware of. I read about this some times ago. I cannot remember the delineation. To me, it's just like, so half and whole. So what does it have to do with me? Okay, what is half a whole? You see how it is? You see, as soon as he gets distracted, he is no more pain. I told you already, he only listens to girls. One day you wake up and you realize that, you have to listen more to girls. Okay, I think that's enough suffering today. Okay, I don't know about you. I'm gonna unbuckle now. We continue for 407 next time. Thank you all for your patience.